All right, before we get into things here, Mitchell, let us the obligatory Happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody has a wonderful holiday and enjoys it with friends and family and food. Do you have any Thanksgiving kind of hot takes or anecdotes before we dive into things here?
I'm flying to Denver. First Denver Thanksgiving, so I'm excited about that. Hot take, mashed potatoes. Not my favorite. I don't even know if that's a hot take as much as a personal preference, but I think mashed potatoes is like bottom 5 on my list of Thanksgiving items.
Lists are on this item. There's like, how many dishes do you have for it to be bottom 5?
It's also top. It's also top 5.
Do you have a spread? It's like a dozen.
It's
deep?
also top 5.
Okay.
It's just towards the middle.
Okay.
Somewhere in the middle. How about you?
I one time made I did cranberry sauce like fancy, did the whole boiled it down, put in orange zest, a bunch of warm spices.
Canned better.
Just give me the can.
Canned better. Hannah makes a chutney, cranberry chutney that is pretty. I'll bring some in after.
Well, and at least on my end, was told by my better half and family members, we'd rather not.
99 cents would be good.
Just give us the can, give us the tin. I want to see the lines.
Yeah. My sister likes the lines. Yeah, straight out, plunks it right down.
Glad I spent all that time, meticulous energy, recipe. Yeah, just no thanks. No thanks.
So. NLL is underway. We've got our first games Friday night. We got games Saturday. Friday, we've got the Battle for Ontario. My former New York Riptide take on the Toronto Rock at the Canadian Tire Center and just outside Montreal and Ottawa. And then your San Diego Seals play Sunday.
Yep, Sunday.
Philadelphia Wings. Brennan O'Neill making his big debut.
So let's start with Toronto and Ottawa. What are you looking for as you kind of scope out this game, look for strengths, weaknesses, areas to exploit? Where do you see things shaking out here?
I talked a little bit to Adam Levy on his podcast a few weeks ago, but goaltending is the number one improvement they made, bringing Zach Higgins in. I got to play with Higgy in the beginning part of his career, and he has just had a continued rise over the years. In Philadelphia, he was seeing 50, 60 shots a game.
Yeah, a lot of rubber.
So a big improved defense on that New York Riptide over the last year and a half, 2 years. Now in Ottawa, I think they have Higgy backing them up, and then you've got Jeff Teat out the front door. I think they've put together all the pieces to potentially have success. Now, can they make sure that all of the different pieces of the puzzle are coming together at the right times and supporting each other?
Shifting gears, before we get to Wings, Seals, I know there's another game, the Rush and Firewolves. What are some of your keys as you kind of scope out that game?
Yeah, Dyson Williams is making his debut for the Firewolves. I think that's a really exciting place for the league. It's exciting for him. He's an unbelievable player. Another guy that they call a generational talent. And he is someone that I think is going to add a lot of energy to a Firewolves team that was a runner-up last year, which they were predicted to finish dead last, and they ended up being second. So that is a team that's their core nucleus is back, plus Dyson Williams, exciting. And then on the other side, the Rush, talking to the coaching staff last year in game prep, they said this reminds them of the nucleus they had back when they were winning those championships in the 2010s to 2020s. They had young, athletic, defense first. They could push the ball. They've got Barnable. They've got Boudreau. And then they've got a really talented offense too. So look for them to push the pace. But I think it is going to be Albany Firewolves are going to be the team to beat in that game.
So follow-up question on the Firewolves. I think especially in an NLL or any pro league for that matter, across really all sports, different mentality when you go from the hunter to the hunted, right? You're able to sneak up on everybody, pick last in the league, everybody's overlooking you, chalk this win up. And then it's wait a second, right? Versus now, it's they're going to get everybody's best shot. How do you see that unfolding for them? Because the younger side, right? I mean, a lot of their core was on the younger side. So how difficult is it to handle that transition?
Well, playing with that chip on their shoulder certainly, I think, helped them. But I think Glenn Clark is an unbelievable coach and leader, and I know he will have those guys ready. He'll find some way to motivate them. I think a point to prove, make sure they want to show that it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't just that they snuck up on everyone for an entire season. I think by the end they probably had that locked in. But but I think just the continued development of putting what they had on the floor at the end of last year, adding some new pieces, and then again, so much comes down to goaltending. Doug Jamieson the rock that supports him from the back end out. I think that's going to be a team that is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year.
All right, shifting gears here to Wings Seals, and I'll have to recuse myself from any sort of talk. Let's not bury the lead. You got Brennan O'Neill making his debut, his NLL debut. What have you seen this far? What are you hearing about his development within training camp and kind of expectations heading into his, training camp's one thing, right? Your first game's a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah, man, he's going to have to figure out how to score. He had an opportunity. They had a scrimmage against Toronto, came down to the wire. He had a good look at the end, wasn't able to put the ball past Nick Rose, but that is the kind of trial by fire, getting opportunities to make plays at the end of a scrimmage against one of the top teams in the league. And now he's got to do it in the real thing, and we'll see how he does. I think he's big, he's physical, he's confident. He's got like a very quiet confidence. I don't know if you've talked to him through the PLL, but it just he seems pretty humble, but he works really hard, and he's big and physical, and I think he's going to do some things in this league, but it might take a little bit of time. It always takes a little bit longer for offensive players than for defensive players to find their groove, especially for Americans who haven't played as much box.
He's not going to be alone, especially on Americans on that left side. Like, you got Blaze Reardon. They've got other pieces to that puzzle on the Wings offense. Understanding that, like, a lot's going to be expected from him, and then you're going to look at maybe they got 12 to 15 goals, and he's only got one. Why? Who else did they have? I know they had some offseason additions. Like, who else are you looking in that Wings offense?
Yeah, he's got Mitch Jones on the left. He's got Reza Terrence on the left, Reza Terrence on the right side, and then Blaze Reardon on the left. So that's a strong, veteran-led, largely American. 3 out of those 4 are American. So a really strong core. Defensively, they made a lot of changes. They got McCannell from your San Diego Seals last year. So they're looking to boost. They felt like last year defensively they were really struggled. And they've got Nick Demude from Panther City back into the net instead of Higgins, who was with the Black Bears, as we mentioned. So Demude, a little bit more athleticism and size defensively, a lot of size of Brennan O'Neill, some veteran leadership up front. Can they put it together? I still, I'm going to have to see it to believe it with the Wings. All
right, enough about the Wings. Seals, I think major headlines in the offseason in terms of additions, in terms of subtractions. Talk about the guys that they've added and what you see out of them, especially the Wrigley area coming back another year in net, really solidified himself as the starter. I think a bright young star, especially in the goaltending position. But what are you seeing for the Seals?
I'm really excited to see without Dixon and without Dobie. They both are back at Calgary, that's a whole nother topic of conversation for another day, that roster. But how can this Seals team share the ball? I think that's always been kind of the question mark with them, right? Is they have all these talents, they have all these amazing players, but can they get the ball in their stick enough? And those are 2 guys that spent a lot of time with the ball in their stick, made some clutch plays, but without them, what does that offense look like? Who is stepping up in the clutch moments? Dobie was that guy. He was the guy who would step up in the key moments. And then Dixon, I feel like his trajectory has been up and down over the last few years. So really curious to see what this new look offense looks like for the Seals. And then, like you said, a Wrigley area, that youth, he's kind of coming into that age where goaltenders start to really understand how to play the position, really settle in. And he's got a veteran, and really that core of that defense has been together since pretty much the beginning of the Seals, right? Yeah. And they are solid, really good players on that team, led by some guys like Eli Gobrecht and some Patrick Shumay, who's just a monster. So I think this is a team that is going to be largely similar, but with some new pieces. I think it's going to be a whole new feel to their offense.
And I think offensively, the one constant is Westberg.
Right.
He just continues to produce, and just the ultimate leader, the ultimate gamer. He's just a guy you want on your team. Like, regardless of if it's lacrosse, like, what are we playing? I want Westberg.
Yeah. Westberg is like a do-it-all, and do it all really well. And then he adds Hellier on that right side, and Hellier does a little bit of everything, and I think can create a lot of space as well. So they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I think you're going to see a lot more ball movement that could change up the way that offense operates.
And then obviously for the Seals, their splashy offseason addition was Zach Currier, another do-it-all gamer, kind of trust and rely. He's going to step up in big moments, and like Westberg does a lot very, very well.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that is just fun to watch. His speed is next level. I'll be curious, can Wrigley drop it in the bucket like Christian Del Bianco did with those outlet passes, because you know that Courier is going to be booking it out of the defensive zone every time that save is made. So it's going to be up to Origlieri to match that energy and get those up and out passes, and that could be a whole new addition to this Seals offense.
If I'm out there and I want to watch NLL games, I know the league has made some recent announcements. What's the best way for me to consume these games coming from different time zones and different areas and different? How do you watch the league this year?
NLL Plus, if you're outside the United States, will have everything. If you're in the United States, ESPN Plus will have all those US-based games. Canadian-based games will be on that NLL Plus program.
Let's shift gears here from NLL to PLL. And from PLL to WLL, huge announcement with the addition of the Women's Lacrosse League. So exciting. I've already been going back and forth with multiple athletes that are just super pumped. So they'll be launching next year, 2025, at the Championship Series. I'm expecting to call those games, but what was your reaction when you saw that news?
I got the opportunity to call the USA Sixes team down in Indianapolis, and I thought it just made a ton of sense. And that Sixes format is something that's going to the Olympics. We've got to have more opportunities there, and what a perfect way to marry the surge in professional women's sports with the surge in women's lacrosse and the Olympics coming up. So it was kind of like a ideal perfect storm coming together. 4 teams, I love that format. I think the talent that is in the AU Pro, the talent that's in the US lacrosse system, it's like you're going to have a very competitive time making those 4 rosters. And those are going to be just stacked with talent.
Yeah, and I echo your sentiments. I mean, in terms of just looking at things logistically, you have the facility already in place. You've got the built-in audience already in place. They had the All-Star game last year. It went tremendously well. From a TV production standpoint, we're already there, right? The truck's there, the crew's there, the announcing team is there. So it's really just a matter of how they're going to schedule it. I think in terms of, do you go kind of men's and women's, like one game on each day? Is it like day on, day off? So I think those details are still kind of forthcoming, but I would anticipate them kind of going one men's game, one women's game, kind of each day, and then that gives the athletes a little bit of a break from day to day, a little bit of a breather, but by kind of stacking those games, sometimes you have a day off, sometimes you play back to back. But for me, it was a total no-brainer looking at the success that the women had last year with the All-Star game and the opportunity to really increase that event and what it is. And the talent is going to be off the charts. I think my only question is, are they going to keep the 2-point line?
That would be
so
exciting.
I hope they do. So are they going to keep the 2-point line? Because certainly a number of players, Charlotte North,
number 8 wouldn't be afraid to pull up. Who would be your?
She had a couple last year, but they didn't have. If they weren't playing with the 2-point line as a part of the All-Star game. So I think she's got the range, certainly to pull it. So super exciting news. I think more of the details forthcoming in terms of team names, obviously roster, schedule, but so exciting to see. And I think also what the PLL was able to do from a marketing standpoint in terms of the announcement. You saw it on SportsCenter, you saw it on First Take, Get Up.
I think that my biggest thing is everyone's a lacrosse fan. You just don't know it yet.
Ooh, right.
Yeah.
I like that.
We've been around.
That's
I mean,
great
it is
insight.
really fast and exciting. So just being able to have that visibility and show it to as many people as possible. I've never seen someone pick up a lacrosse stick and not have fun. So just being able to showcase that, I think, is why we haven't gotten enough eyes on it yet. So this is an incredible opportunity just to be able to show as many people as possible what we've been doing. So we're really excited.
Like whether it was Charlotte North or Alex Ost, like people in prime positions, Lizzie Colson, like talking about the sport, playing catch with pancakes, doing all sorts of things to promote the league, to promote this event. So exciting for them, for all the women involved. I know there was a lot of work that went into it, but super exciting.